I think there was one on Amazon which said, I give this book 5 stars. I read it and greatly admired it, but I wish I had never read it. And I had another letter from, I think it was somebody in Canada, who said that he was a teacher and a girl pupil of his had come to him and said that this girl had read The Selfish Gene and had come to him in tears because she thought it made her life meaningless. And he advised her, I think he reminded her of the story of Lenin being transported across Switzerland across Europe towards Russia in a sealed train. And Churchill said, like some horrible bacillus, not to infect anybody on the way. And this teacher quoted that to this girl and said, don't show this book to any of your friends. So yes, there is a tendency in that direction. There is a tendency to say, even if it's true, it would be better if nobody knew about it.
And what do you, and clearly you don't think that, but what concerns do you have? That the concern that commonly followed the God delusion and a much more robust atheism was a fear that we already live in a society where there's too little moral clarity, that we're going to have as a result of that a moral free-for-all, and that you have provided an intellectual bedrock to that. How do you feel about the responsibilities?
Well, in a way, this book is not the place to discuss that because no bishop or archbishop or cardinal or theologian should have any trouble with this book at all, because they all support evolution, at least the reputable ones do. But you asked the specific question about one of the reasons people have for fighting against evolution, this is certainly true in America, is the fear of a sort of moral breakdown. One way they express it is to say, you teach people they're descended from monkeys and they'll behave like monkeys. And that's one way in which it's put. Another way that was put to me on an American talk show, you know, one of these radio things where people phone in, he said, well, if I didn't believe in God, I'd go straight out and kill my neighbor. And I said, well, I think you'd do yourself an injustice. And he said, no, I don't. He said, I would go straight out and get my gun, they all have guns, and shoot my neighbor. Now, that doesn't really hang together when you think about it. I mean, it doesn't, it's not a coherent argument to say that without religion we'd all be immoral. For one thing, if you actually look at the morality of certainly the Old Testament, to some extent the New Testament, it's truly terrible. You wouldn't want to get your morals from there. I mean, you'd be, you know, stoning people to death for breaking the Sabbath and for cheeking their parents and things. Mind you, there are still people being stoned to death in parts of the world for adultery. So no, I mean, it doesn't hang together. It doesn't hang together as a coherent argument. Anybody who uses that argument hasn't thought it through.
And do you, obviously one of the other sort of small fights that you picked with this book was, as well as targeting creationists in the world of intelligent design, was a sort of passing glance at Muslim fundamentalism and the extent to which your work has been suppressed in large parts of the Arab world. How much of a journey is there to go with explaining evolution in that part of the world, and how much of an impact is that having, do you think, here?
It's not exactly true that it's been suppressed in large parts of the Arab world. The only place I know of where it's literally been suppressed is Turkey. That's possibly because Turkey is the only Muslim country in which it's been translated.
So I think in our report we said had not been translated into Arabic, which I put into shorthand as suppressed.
I mean, the God delusion has actually been translated into various Indian languages and into Turkish. It was suppressed in Turkey for a while. As far as I know, my website is still banned in Turkey. I don't think we can really blame Islam for this. I think this is this rather odd Turkish law, which seems to suggest that any Turkish citizen can go into a court and say, I want this book banned, or I want this website banned, and they ban it while they look into the case. And so, I mean, the God delusion was unbanned after a while, but I think, as far as I know, the website still is banned. You can, if you look at the website, richarddawkins.net, you'll see a very proud banner across the top that says "Banned in Turkey." As far as I know, it still is. It's a pretty ineffective ban. It's very hard to stop people logging into websites, I'm glad to say.
Okay, then can I ask you a little bit just about your personal beliefs then, having gone down this road and thought so deeply about these issues? There's an old story, isn't there, that's told, I mean, many preachers have used it for many purposes, about the man walking along the cliff who falls off the cliff. Do you know this story? He falls off the cliff and he grabs hold of the branch and he looks in the chasm below, and having not ever really believed in God, he says, "Help, help, God, help me. God, are you out there?" And you know the story, God says, "Yes, I am here. Let go the branch, my child." And the man pauses and said, "Is there anybody else out there?" It strikes me that that's your situation. Do you think in those terms? Do you look beyond nature and try and think, what is an organising principle for your beliefs?
Well, the organising principle for my beliefs, I suppose, is science, is critical thinking, rationality. I believe it's an immense privilege that we are able to understand the world, the universe, life, why we live, why we're here, what it's all about. It's not a privilege that's been granted to all centuries in the past. I wouldn't mean to say that that's the organising principle of my own day-to-day personal life, because I'm just an ordinary human being who lives in a social world with a family and with friends, and I don't let scientific rationality govern that any more than anybody else does. But I think it does provide a huge incentive to live life to the full and to enjoy life. To enjoy is too hedonistic a word. I mean, to appreciate life in the fullest sense. It's not permanent. It's temporary. You want to make the most of it while you've got it. And to me, making the most of it means understand.